Hello, kia ora, tēnā koutou, hello everybody. Welcome to this video about the astrology of the new moon in Virgo, and it's the second new moon in Virgo we've had, and it's a solar eclipse. It's coming up on the 21st, 22nd of September, and I'm going to be talking about some of the special features of this solar eclipse and new moon energy and what that means for you and your sign. First of all, I will introduce myself. I practice Western tropical astrology, which comes from the Northern Hemisphere, but I'm based in New Zealand in the Southern Hemisphere, and I make calendars for Australia and New Zealand. This is the Australian edition of the calendar. Currently, I am touring Europe with my partner, so I'm currently in the Northern Hemisphere. But I'm just going to show you this page. I've only got the Australian calendar left. I've given away my New Zealand ones, copies that I brought over. Anyway, we had the first new moon in Virgo, and now we've got a second new moon in Virgo. So the calendar's set out in lunar months, so the month starts with the new moon, and you can see that one's got a bright yellow circle around it because it is the solar eclipse. So what I'm going to talk about with this solar eclipse is the fact that it's opposite Saturn and Neptune, and it is supported by trines from Pluto and Uranus, forming a grand trine and indeed a kite formation. And also it's just about spring equinox. But I will just mention, I'm in the Dolomites. It's absolutely amazing. We've been here for maybe a couple of weeks now, and we're just about to move on to head back to England, sell our lovely van that we are in love with, but I think it's the best thing for the van to sell it and go to somebody else who can tour around in it. And I'm sitting at the Gardena Pass, or Passo Gardena. So it's quite noisy with road noise, but there's motorbikes and sports cars coming through, so you might get the noise. I might pause sometimes because of that background noise. Yeah, quite a lot of traffic, even though we're in the middle of the mountains. I'm going to pause now. There's motorbikes. Okay, so let's first talk about the timing of this eclipse. All right, in the bigger picture timing, this eclipse comes 2 weeks after a lunar eclipse. So we usually get eclipses in groups of two. Lunar eclipse, where the moon is blocked out by the shadow of the earth, and solar eclipses, where the sun is blocked out by the shadow of the moon. We had the lunar eclipse recently, and in between those two eclipses, we are in what many people call the eclipse portal. So 2 weeks between eclipses, had the lunar eclipse, heading towards the solar eclipse, and anything that happens during that time might not be, but there's a higher chance than usual that events that happen, people you meet, ideas you have, messages you receive, are imbued with something that's fated or destined and leading to, or part of a turning point in your life. Okay, so eclipses bring events that change your direction, and especially juicy kind of, or especially kind of mystical and magical and tingly, is that 2 weeks between eclipses. It's a little bit like anything can happen. All right, it doesn't mean that something major will happen every time, but usually there will be some kind of turning point with an eclipse. Maybe it's a small change, but it's a change. And the idea is that any changes that come with eclipses take you on a more direct route towards your soul's destiny, towards the direction that your soul wants to go in. And if we're thinking bigger picture, if you believe in reincarnation and the idea that we are born into a different body in a different time and place over and over and over again, and in each lifetime we're journeying towards something that's a destiny for our soul, and maybe each lifetime we can throw off some kind of shackle or learn something important about ourselves or about the nature of life. and that takes us slowly, slowly, slowly towards some kind of destiny that our soul wants us to go in. Okay, so some people might find that idea way out, and other people who do follow ideas like that might find it way oversimplified, but never mind. I like to think in that kind of along that kind of line, and I don't know heaps about it. I haven't done heaps of study on the subject, but it's very interesting, and maybe one day I will do. But that's how I think of it. And the idea of eclipses is that wherever your soul wants to go to, whether you've got one lifetime or many lifetimes, eclipses bring some kind of fated change that can lead you closer to that, and it can be disruptive because maybe you didn't realize you needed to or wanted to go in that direction. And sometimes there are hard endings, and sometimes there are new beginnings that can feel very exciting. Okay, so this is a south node eclipse. All right, so it's a new moon, and a new moon is about new beginnings and brand new starts for the coming lunar month or for the coming 6 months in that area of your chart, whatever is the Virgo area of your chart. All right, and with an eclipse, it's even more so. It's stronger, and like I said, there can be some kind of fated change, a turnaround that comes from the outside or from within you, that bubbles up from within. That is, you know, it's supposed to happen. It's a big change. So it's like a extra strong new moon. But a new moon is about new beginnings, but this new moon takes place close to the south node, and we've got on every astrological chart a north node and a south node, also known as Rahu and Ketu using the Hindi language from Vedic astrology. But the north node is, the idea is that that's the area where your soul wants to go to, and the south node is where you have familiarity and lots of practice in a way of living and an approach to life, and it's actually, you're very practiced at it and good at it, but it's time to let it go. It's not inspiring you anymore, it's not motivating you anymore. You've actually achieved it, and it's holding on to it is like not growing up in a way. Okay, so but the north node and south node move around, and at the moment the north node is in Pisces, and we had the lunar eclipse recently near the north node, and the south node is in Virgo, and it's about halfway through Virgo. But this new moon takes place at 29 degrees of Virgo, so it's close enough to the south node that there will be an eclipse. And so it's a new moon about new beginnings, but it's by the south node. Motorbikes in the background, so I'm going to pause. So even though it's a new moon eclipse, it's near the south node, so it's like there is some letting go to do. And the new moon could be about the beginning of some kind of letting go journey. All right, and I'll talk soon about the fact that the south node is in Virgo and what that means. All right. Now, another special feature about this eclipse is that the day after the eclipse, it's on the 29th degree of Virgo. So the day after the eclipse, the sun moves into Libra. And the point where the sun moves into Libra is the sun moving over the equator. It is the equinox. It's a magical time of the year. It's a time of balance. In the southern hemisphere, it's spring equinox, a beautiful time. And in the northern hemisphere, where I currently am, it is the autumn equinox, the Libra season. So 0 degrees of Libra, and it's about the balance and the symmetrical aesthetics of Libra, about diplomacy, and just going to turn around because of the sun, about diplomacy and peacemaking with Libra, and also charm and nice chat and socializing and trying to seek balance in everything, refined arts to like classical music, ballet, like some of those more established conservative forms of art that can be very beautiful and refined and have some money behind them, actually. Yeah, so like classic beauty is Libra. Okay, so there's a kind of a brand new start coming up the day after this new moon, as well as the new moon being a new start as we move into Libra season. But with that, this eclipse and the new moon in Virgo is at 29 degrees of Virgo, and we had another new moon in Virgo at 1 degree of Virgo. So last month the early degrees of Virgo were especially activated, and this new lunar month it will be the later degrees of Virgo that are especially activated. It's a new start with something to do with Virgo things in your life. For everyone in general, Virgo is about daily routines, our daily work, the work that we do in the world, the service that we give. So that can be voluntary work. It's not so much about achieving high status. It's not so much about career. It's about the ordinary tasks of daily life. And in our homes, it's about keeping things clean and tidy and organized. Virgo loves precision and analysis. Actually, it's ruled by Mercury, and Mercury at the time of the eclipse will be already into the sign of Libra, but probably at the time of I'm recording it, it's still in the sign of Virgo. So Mercury is about, as the ruler of Gemini, Mercury is very much about communication and connecting and networking. But in Virgo, which is also ruled by Mercury, Mercury is about analysis, logical thinking. It can be about research and putting things into order. Things being in order and well planned and set out and organized. Virgo is a fantastic sign in our lives, and everyone has Virgo in their chart somewhere. Even if you have no planets or points in Virgo, Virgo is still part of every person's life. It's a fantastic sign for remembering to show up to what is ordinary in life, the mundane tasks. It can be a very humble sign. The ways that we need to give service to our physical body through looking after it with health routines like doing your exercises in the morning, cleaning your teeth, eating nutritious foods. And it's also a wonderful sign in terms of it's really about giving service, and it's the kind of service that's not so much attached to status and accolades or money in return. It's about how we give service in the world just because something needs done. It's Virgo loves sorting things out and putting things into order, and so that's a great way to give service, of course, is to help get things sorted out. Any kind of voluntary work, of course. The downside of Virgo can be an over focus on the detail and trying to get things exactly right. And Virgo can have a reputation of being critical and self-critical and then critical of others. And it's about a pursuit of Virgo for perfectionism, and the pursuit of the pursuit of perfection is given a bad rap in this day and age, and probably quite rightly so, because in trying to achieve perfection, that can be, we can waste a lot of time for one thing, and it can have negative effects on our mental health if we're too attached to it and we don't let go and do other things in life that are good for us because it can just take so much time, or it just can't be achieved, and then we can get overly attached to that. But in some ways the pursuit of perfection is a wonderful thing to seek. Like there can be beauty in that and great satisfaction, and high levels of human production can be achieved through the pursuit of perfection. But with this full moon I mean, this new moon, solar eclipse, it's an eclipse with a south node, and so it is about something we need to let go of. It is a new moon at 29 degrees of Virgo, and that's the ultimate degree of Virgo, and it's like something has been reached and then needs to be let go of. So there is encouragement with this new moon. It's a new moon, it's a new start, but there's encouragement to let go of something to do with Virgo energy, whether that is perfectionism, whether it is being overly meticulous, whether it is being overly focused on details, whether it's about being overly trying to get very, very prepared and organized with something. The idea is that we go to the opposite side of the chart, to Pisces. And Pisces is fantastic at letting go, going with the flow, not worrying about the details, following intuition. So I would say with this new moon, there's some kind of new start for us in that leads us to letting go of over-analysis, over-organization, being prepared, and is encouraging us to go more with flow and intuition and big picture thinking rather than the micromanagement. Okay. But wait, it's not that simple, because on the other side of the chart, exactly opposite the new moon, is Saturn sitting there. Kind of the opposite to Pisces, because Pisces is about the flow, everything will be fine, imagination, mysticism, intuition. But Saturn is about realism and practicality. Saturn and Virgo, happy together, but they're not together. Saturn is opposite. And you could watch my last video from last Saturday, which is all about Saturn in the Aries and Pisces part of your charts, for a real good, more in-depth exploration of Saturn and Saturn in that part of the chart. At the same time, also opposite, but in the next sign, in Aries, so it's an out of sign opposition, is Neptune. And Neptune is very much about the Pisces thing of go with the flow, get mystical, get imaginative, be intuitive, follow your dreams, be idealistic, romantic, glamorous, and a little bit away with the fairies. Magic exists with Neptune. All right. So I would say with this new moon, there's something about being organized in a way of letting go of organized things and looking to being more flowing and letting go of the details, big picture focused, more flowing, more intuitive, and still being somehow grounded in reality with that. Saturn and Neptune are building up to their exact conjunction, which is in February of 2026. And this new moon solar eclipse is triggering that conjunction. So whatever that big grand start for you in 2026 is, this is an activation of it. Not only that, Pluto is at 1 degree of Aquarius. And Pluto is about power matters. It's about our dark inner selves, our where power can go awry, like, you know, where we can have jealousy, or we are obsessed with things. But when used wisely, it's about acknowledging that we have strong and raw power within us. And Pluto's in Aquarius, so that's about technology and the masses and freedom for the masses, and about being allowed to be a bit of a quirky person as well. And then also trining this new moon and sextile to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction is Uranus at 1 degree of Gemini, and that is encouraging us to both Pluto and Aquarius and Gemini, and Uranus and Gemini are encouraging great technological innovation. Boy, so much technology, and new ways to communicate and do things and network and connect. And Uranus can also encourage us to be a little bit quirky and out there and individual and want the freedom to do that. Okay, so those guys are supporting the new moon. I'm going to try and show you on this chart. There's a chart of the new moon. All right, so just near my thumb. Oh, well, first of all, I can't point and hold it, unfortunately. There's a grand trine. There's a triangle there. If you can see the triangle, the big triangle. So near my thumb is the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. On the opposite side, you can see the line going right across. That is the new moon, and you can see the sun and moon there together. Solar eclipse. And then at the top, where the lines join at the top, that is Pluto in Aquarius at 1 degree of Aquarius. And at the bottom, where the lines join at the bottom, is Uranus at 1 degree of Gemini. That is a kite formation. It starts with a grand trine, which is the big triangle between the new moon and Pluto and Uranus. And a trine is, you know, it's very easy and flowing in astrology. That 120 degrees of each of those signs is, of each of those angles, is flowing, it's supportive, it's easy, and it's easy to feel positive and easy for things to happen. But then you get the opposition, the opposite. So where you've got the new moon opposite Saturn and Neptune, there's something to sort out. There's something where the two opposites need to be integrated or brought together. And that is a challenge for this new moon. So there's some kind of challenging opposition there, but it's supported with the innovative ideas from Aquarius and Gemini, and by deep, powerful energies from Pluto, and from the idea that we can be innovative and quirky and desire freedom as well from both Uranus and Pluto in Aquarius. Okay. I'm pausing because I need a little break to think about what I'm going to do next. So going through the dates of this new moon. All right, so we had the lunar eclipse on the 7th and 8th of September, depending on where you are in the world. And so 2 weeks later, on the 21st, 22nd of September. If you are in Aotearoa, New Zealand, it is at 7:53 a.m. on the 22nd of September, a day before the September equinox. If you are Australian Eastern Standard Time, it's at 5:53 a.m. and everyone else in Australia, if you can adjust according to that. In Europe, it's on the 21st of September at 9:53 p.m. or 21:53 as they say here. And in the UK at 20:53, so 8:53 p.m. In New York, 15:53, so 3:53 p.m. and in LA 12:53 p.m. on the 21st of September. Those are the times. All right, it's a partial solar eclipse, so the sun will not be completely covered, but an exciting thing is that it will be visible in New Zealand, wow, and in the southeastern part of Australia. So with the lunar eclipse, tons and tons of people can see that. Almost half the world can see lunar eclipses. But with solar eclipses, not very many people can see them. They only cover a small area of the Earth, and that happens to be the Pacific Islands, southeastern Australia, New Zealand, and going down to Antarctica. I am sorry, I am not in New Zealand to be able to see this, because I think I've maybe seen one in my life, but I can't really remember. I would love to see a solar eclipse. So I hope it's a clear day, a clear morning for you to go out and see it. So just that time again for Aotearoa, 7:53 a.m. and southeastern Australia, Australian Eastern Standard Time, 5:53 a.m. I hope you have light by then and you can see it if the sun's up. So that is pretty cool. This is especially affecting our area of the world if you're from that part of the world. Okay. So now I'm going to go into the all signs breakdown. I'm going to talk about what this new moon solar eclipse means for you in the Virgo area of your chart. And it is complicated by having Saturn across opposites, and then Neptune also opposite but in the next sign, and then you've got the equinox. And then you've also got Pluto and Uranus. So I might mention all of those. I'm going to see how that goes. It might be too much to talk about, but mostly it is about the Virgo part of your chart and some new beginning that's to do with letting go and possibly some change of direction or turnaround. And there's a message or there's some part of that that comes up in the next couple of weeks, and then maybe unfolding over the next 6 months. So here we go. I'm going to go through every sign starting from the sign of Virgo. If you are Virgo sun, moon or rising, but especially Virgo rising, and that was the part of the sky that was coming up in the east on the day that you were born, at the time that you were born, that is your rising sign. So especially if you are the end degrees of Virgo, then this solar eclipse, this new moon, this big grand new moon, because it's an eclipse, is really affecting you even more so. But it will be affecting everyone, and it is all of life. When it is your first house, that is you, the character that you play in the world, your approach to life, your body, yourself, your I am, who you are in the world. So everything is coming up for a new start, but this new start could be something to do with letting go. There's a whole lot of letting go for you, Virgo, at the moment, because the South Node is going through your sign, your first sign. And with that South Node, so that is from the beginning of this year until towards the end of next year, 18 months altogether. The South Node is maybe making you undo something or let go of something to do with yourself. And that's going to unfold every time there's an eclipse in Virgo or Pisces. And it's also going to unfold as the South Node moves through your sign. And the interesting thing is the South Node goes backwards through your sign, all right? So it's come from 29 degrees of Virgo, and it's moving backwards through it. So there's something to let go about the way you identify yourself in the world over that time, and this eclipse is sparking that off. And there's something to let go of your approach to life, and maybe even something to do with your body. Maybe there'll be some things to do with your body and your even fitness and health and the way that you look, that you let go of over that next that you've been letting go of all year, and then that's also unfolding over the next most of next year as well. And this eclipse might trigger something. At the same time, you've got Saturn making you be serious about partnership, or you're making your partner be very serious in the opposite sign for a last few months. I talked about that in the last video. And then the Saturn-Neptune big, great new start in February. That is going to be in your 8th house, which is about investments, other people's money, your partner's money, also about occult mysteries and your underlying psychological layers. And then you've got Pluto, who is in your 6th house, all right? So Pluto for the next 20 years is in your 6th house. So that's about your work and your how you give service in the world and how you organize things in life. And that's going to support whatever it is that you're letting go of in yourself. And then you've got Uranus in your your 10th house of career. So you've got Uranus shaking up your 10th house of career for the next 7 years. And that is also, part of this new moon solar eclipse. And so that's going to be triggering, that's also supporting whatever this new start is. That's something to do with letting go of some part of yourself. It's all for the good. It's going to help you ultimately. And later on, you'll look back and you'll think, oh no, that was good for me. I had to let go of that. Or that new start that I made that maybe didn't feel that easy because of the Saturn opposition, in the end, it will be all for the best. There we go, Virgo. If you are Libra, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Libra rising, and your rising sign is the part of the sky that was coming up on the horizon at the time that you were born, and it is one of the strongest ones for astrological prediction. Okay, so the new moon solar eclipse is happening in your 12th house, and then the day after, the sun moves into your sign, and it's going to be Libra season, and you will be lit up for the next 30 days or so, for the next solar month. Anyway, so you've got this new moon, but it's a solar eclipse in your 12th house, and it's a new start, but it's something to do with letting go. And the 12th house is in general about letting go. It's a house where we let go of things. And it's a house where there's like an ending. It's almost like it is the last house. It's the last house in life, and it can be a house of retreat. It could even be seen as a house of, you know, as you get older and you're maybe going to die soon in old age, die of old age, and you kind of retreat. You leave the world behind a bit. But in the meantime, in most of life, it's a house of retreat where maybe you go home and you're just by yourself, you're doing your own thing. And it can be a sanctuary, a place of sanctuary. People don't see what you're doing, and sometimes it can be about escapism, how you escape from the world. It can also be about foreign travel because it's, you know, away from the world. All right, so it can be on the negative side about addictions and escaping too much from things, being away with the fairies, getting lost in, you know, workaholism, or watching too much TV, or drinking too much, or eating too much chocolate, any kind of addiction. All right. But it can be just where you retreat from the world, where you're looking at past lives, or you're connecting with all that is, even spiritual practice. Okay, so it's a house of otherworldliness in a way, and there's a new start in that, but there's also something to let go of, and that letting go is while the south node is moving through there. Over 2023 and 2024, you had the south node moving through your first house, Libra. So there was a lot of letting go and undoing for you to do. Like you were probably letting go of parts of your identity and who you were in the world. And that is done now. The south node moved out earlier this year. But now it's going through your 12th house, and there's going to be some kind of, over the 18 months or so until towards the end of next year, there's some letting go to do with how you let go with your house of retreats, and relinquishing maybe some addictive patterns, or relinquishing some ways that you escape from the world. And it's all good. It's for your higher goods. And at the same time, you know, the eclipse might feel hard. There could be some reminder of something that's difficult about your house of retreat and sanctuary, because it's opposite Saturn, and Saturn is currently in your 6th house of how you give service in the world, how you organize your daily routines in the world, in your day, and your daily work, your service, your health routines, and your health even. And so there could be some challenge there, but it's kind of like you have to be practical and grounded there, but also aiming towards following intuition and going with the flow. And then you've got Neptune in Aries, and you're going to have that Saturn-Neptune conjunction, a great new start in your 7th house of partnership, and that is from February. It's a big 36-year new start, and you're building towards it now, but there's some things to sort out, and it's to do with that 12th house of letting go. You're going to be supported by Pluto from Aquarius, your 5th house of fun and romance and children and play and hobbies. And you're also going to be supported by Uranus, which is coming from Gemini, and that is your 9th house of travel, adventure, philosophy, and exploring in the world. But mostly it's about something in your 12th house, letting go of the ways that you escape from the world, and sometimes the ways that you don't support yourself enough in the world. Okay, so all the best for that, Libra. If you are Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Scorpio rising, and your rising sign is the part of the sky that was coming up over the horizon at the moment that you were born, and it is the part that you play in the world. If you are Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, then the eclipse is happening in your 11th house, and that means that there's some kind of new start in your 11th house, but something to let go, and that is your house of friendship groups that you choose, long-term goals and what you're planning to do over the long term in your life, and also about the rewards that you get from work, whether that is the financial rewards that you get from work or the perks that you get from having that kind of status and reputation and access that you get from your career. Okay, so there's some kind of new start there, but it's to do with letting go. You've got the South Node moving through that house, the 11th house, and that started early this year, and it's going until partway, most of the way through next year for 18 months, where there is some letting go to do. Like there may be some long-term goals that you've had for years and years and years, and you decide to let them go. I had an example of a friend who was writing a novel for years and years and years, and then at one stage he decided, despite all that work, he wasn't going to finish it. And it's kind of sad, but then it meant he was open to do other things and develop other goals. That's just one example. Or it could be letting go of some kind of reward that you get from your work or your career and your career situation. And this eclipse could trigger, it could be a key point on that journey, all right? But it is a longer journey. At the same time, the eclipse is encouraging us to go to the Pisces area of your chart. And that Pisces area is your 5th house, all right? And the 5th house is about your children, your hobbies, things that you do for fun, entrepreneurial projects, and even romance and dating. And it's encouraging us to go with the flow more, to be intuitive, to let imagination and dreaminess and just letting go and not trying to organize everything so much. But at the same time, you've got Saturn there, and that could be making it difficult. While we have to go with the flow more and be more intuitive, we do need to be realistic and grounded with Saturn there. You've got Neptune also there, and Neptune is encouraging us to be idealistic and dreamy and charitable. And there's a great new start in Aries, and that is going to be your, let me just think, your 6th house. Just checking, sorry Scorpio, I don't want to get that wrong. Yeah, so in February when Saturn and Neptune come together, that's in your 6th house, and that's a great new 36-year brand new start that's building up now in your 6th house of how you give service in the world and your work and your daily routines. And this new moon, this solar eclipse, where there could be some change that happens where you have to let go of something in your long-term goals, it's supported also by Pluto from your 4th house of home and family of origin, and it's supported by Uranus from your, let me just check that, from your 8th house of other people's money in your life, investments, taxes, your partner's money. Also occult mysteries or psychology and how you explore your psychological layers, like through counseling or any kind of therapy work. So there's support for that, but mostly it's the focus on a new beginning that's also somehow letting go in your 11th house, Scorpio. So all the best. If you are Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Sagittarius rising, and your rising sign is the part of the sky that was coming over the horizon right at the moment that you were born, and it's the part that you play in the world, it's yourself, it's your body, it's your identity. Okay, Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising, the eclipse is happening in your 10th house. And that is your house of career and reputation and status. So if you're not currently in a paid job, it's still about your status and reputation in the world, what you're known for, okay? And So there's a new beginning for you with a solar eclipse there, but it's something to do with letting go, because the south node is going through your sign there, your career sign there. So the south node went into there at the beginning of this year, and it's going to be there for 18 months, so most of the way through next year. You've got some letting go to do in your career, and by the end there might be just some goal or something that you had, or some particular work or project or aspect of your career or reputation, and you realize by the end either you don't need it, you've had enough of it, it's time to let it go, or it's actually through outside influences let go of you, and you need to accept that with grace. And that, you know, the career house is a really important house in our lives, and so that could be quite significant for you. I had a few years ago, and I need to check out the dates, but I was made redundant, and I had been planning to stay in that job for, you know, years on end, and the south node came through, and I'm pretty sure that lined up exactly. But anyway, I lost that job through redundancy, and it's meant a whole big new exploration of what is my career now, what am I doing now, where am I going, what is a legacy I want to leave behind in the world. And these are the questions that might come up with that south node, and there's some letting go to do, and that's okay. This eclipse is triggering that, and it's encouraging you to go to the opposite side of the chart, which is your home. It's your family of origin, the people you live with, or your properties. And it's encouraging you to go with the flow there and be more intuitive. And while you go with the flow and be more intuitive in those areas, also there's something where you have to be kind of realistic and practical, because Saturn is there as well. You've also got Neptune just there, but it's gone just over into your 5th house. And you've got the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in your 5th house building now, but that's going to be exact in February, and that's some big new start for your romantic life, or for your children, things happening for your children, having a baby, it could be, or entrepreneurial projects, things that are fun and come from your heart, like children, like romance, like hobbies, and the things that you absolutely love to do. So that's really cool that you've got that coming up, Sagittarius. But at the moment, with the new moon, there's something to let go of, and over the next 9 months or so, and you've got this trigger with the new moon eclipse. But you're supported by Pluto, which is coming from your 3rd house of which is about your neighborhoods, your social media, and your connections in your community, your relations, and your siblings. So there's support from there perhaps, or support from Uranus, which is coming from, and I'm just going to check that, Uranus is coming, oh yeah, from your partner actually. So Uranus is in your house of partnership, is going to be shaking up partnership for you for the next 7 years. And that's partnership like whoever you work with, or play with, or spend time with, do things with on a one-to-one basis. Perhaps your actual life partner, but it could be anyone that you're in a one-to-one relationship with. So there's support from there as well. But mostly it's about some kind of new start in your 10th house of career, but there's some kind of connection to letting go as well. All the best, Sagittarius. If you are Capricorn, sun, moon, or rising, and your rising sign is the sign, the part of the sky that was coming up on the horizon at the moment you were born. Okay, so if you're Capricorn, this solar eclipse in the sign of Virgo is happening in your 9th house. And the 9th house is known to be a lucky house. It's a house of expansion and optimism, adventure and exploration. It's where you explore the world. It's about travel, especially long distance travel to other countries like I'm doing at the moment. But also exploring with the mind, like philosophy and higher learning, like university learning. All right. And this solar eclipse brings a new beginning, but it's something to do with letting go. You've got the south node moving through that part of your sky, and it's been there for about 9 months, and it's got around about 9 months to go, maybe 10 months to go. So there's some kind of letting go. Like maybe you have to let go of some travel plans, or maybe you have to let go of some higher learning. When the South Node went through my ninth house, wow, I had two really big things happen. I had some really strong beliefs, because actually the ninth house is also about belief systems. I had some really strong beliefs about how I believed the world was set up, and some belief systems that I was really focused on supporting in the world. I'm not going to share what they are because it's a little bit political in a way. And when the when the South Node went through there, it was like, oh gosh, all my beliefs about the way the world was set up, and what I thought were the values that certain groups of people and all that were supporting, I realized on the one hand I didn't believe in some of them anymore, and I needed to let them go. And on the other hand, I realized, oh, actually this kind of energy and this kind of way of seeing things, it's getting a lot of support from other people, and I don't need to be championing it anymore. I tend to go for the underdog, so I tend to support the things that don't get a lot of other support. So it was actually a really big change for me. Yeah, and I also was planning to do a master's, and I was planning to do a master's in a and study, part-time, doing a master's. And I really got down to the stage of like looking at all the programs and doing spreadsheets, this program, that program. I did a lot of work on exploring that, and then I gradually just realized I don't want to do that. It's not right for me right now. Maybe I'll never do it, and I just disappeared into the wind. That's the kind of thing that you might find with the ninth house. Those are my examples with that letting go. And this new moon is bringing some kind of trigger there, Capricorn. All right. At the same time, the new moon is encouraging us to look at the Pisces, the opposite side of the chart, and be more flowing and intuitive. And that is in your third house, all right? And your third house is about your neighbors, your community, short distance travel, could be even your car or your bike, how you get around the community. It's also about social networking, a small business, and trade and exchange, and your relations, including your siblings. And so we're being encouraged to be more flowing and intuitive there, but at the same time, Saturn is there. And so while we have to be more flowing and intuitive and let go of perfectionism and all that, we still have to be real and grounded. And you've also got Neptune there. Neptune's just over the sign boundary into Aries, and Aries is your fourth house of home and family, your family of origin, the people you live with, your properties. And you've got the great big grand Saturn-Neptune conjunction happening there in February next year. And this new moon is a little bit of a trigger for that. It's not exact yet, but you're building for some big new start in that part of life, home and family. And there's something to let go in the Virgo part of your sign, that ninth of your sky, the ninth house. You will be supported with Pluto coming from Aquarius, your second house of your earnings, your wealth, your possessions. And you'll be supported by Uranus, which is in your, I'm going to check that, your sixth house of how you give service in the world, your daily work. Excuse me, just turning around because the sun was in my eyes. Your daily work for your routines for health and fitness, and how you organize your life. All right, so there's support from those areas. So mostly though, it's about some kind of new start in your 10th house, your ninth house, some kind of new start in your ninth house of philosophy and your belief systems, and foreign travel and exploration in the world and higher learning. All right, and so there's a new start, but there's something to let go of as well. So all the best for that, Capricorn. If you are Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Aquarius rising, and your rising sign is the part of the sky that was coming up on the horizon at the moment you were born. So it's kind of kind of awesome. If you are Aquarius, then this new moon in the sign of Virgo, that is a solar eclipse, is happening in your 8th house, all right? And the 8th house is a house of money, money in terms of money that's not yours, but it's to do with you, and it's usually large amounts of money. It can be your partner's money, or it could be investments or taxes, things like that, or inheritances even. All right. It's also a house of occult mysteries. So if you delve into occult mysteries like tarot, astrology, past life regressions, things like that, the mysteries of life, in whatever way that you explore that. It's also a house of your underlying psychological layers, deep power and deep intimacy, and how that plays out in your life. I'm just going to move into the shade because that sun is right in my eyes, even though I'm loving the sun because it's not that warm today. All right, so sorry, Aquarius. All right, so the new moon is about a new start in that area of the money, partner's money, other people's money, or occult mysteries, or your psychological layers, and how you explore those through counseling or whatever. But it's also about letting go. And so this is something to let go. The South Node is moving through there. It has been there since early this year, and it will be until later on next year. I recently had the South Node going through my 8th house, and this is just how it played out for me. There are many, many, many thousands of ways it could play out with the same kind of themes. But for me, it was, I've got a lot of planets in the 8th house, and I'd always found, like, in my family, like, people would give me things like give me a car, give me a dishwasher, buy me a new oven, and I never asked for any of these wonderful gifts, and they were given so generously and kindly. And when it came to the South Node going through the 8th house, there was some times where somebody was going to give me something and I actually said no. And there was a time where I wanted to borrow some money, and I was tempted to ask to borrow money, and I realized, oh no, I actually don't feel that's right. I don't want to borrow money from my family. It's not feeling right. I'll find another way for this thing that I needed to borrow for. And then later on I noticed, oh, hang on, the South Node's been going through my 8th house. I think it's a time in my life where I'm letting go of the generosity that I've received from others over the decades of my life. And so that was just a little way that it played out for me. It was kind of interesting. I found it quite interesting. Anyway, I'm very grateful for all those gifts that I had. But yeah, it was a little bit of growing up for me to do there, like standing on my own 2 feet was part of it. Anyway, so however that plays out for you, there is some kind of new start with the new moon, but it's also something to do with a larger picture of letting go with a South Node going through your sign, okay? At the same time, that new moon is encouraging us to be more flowing and intuitive on the opposite side of the chart in the sign of Pisces, and that is your 2nd house of your own money, your own possessions, your earnings that you make, that you create, and even to do with the things that you value, the material things that you value in life. I'm sorry that the sun is not quite working. Keep changing on you guys. Going to pause and sort it out. So yeah, needing to be a little bit more flowing with your own possessions and money, but at the same time, Saturn is there, and it's opposite the new moon, and so that's asking us in some kind of slightly difficult way to be grounded and realistic at the same time as flowing and intuitive. However you do that, not the easiest energies to put together. You've got Neptune also opposite the new moon, but it's just over the sign boundary into Aries, which is your whole sign 3rd house, and that is about Neptune is about being dreamy and idealistic, even romantic, and compassionate and flowing, imaginative. in your third house, which is about your neighborhoods, how you travel around your neighborhoods, like your commutes, your neighbors that you connect with, and your relations, including your brothers and sisters. Okay, so you've got a great big grand new start that's coming up in February next year in that third house, which is very exciting. And this new moon might be helping you to let go of something in that eighth house of other people's money and occult practices. And that's going to help you with that big new start. You're also going to be helped by you yourself, because you have Pluto going through your house for the next 20 years, making you think about a lot about, and there could be a helpful trigger with this, like in a positive, supportive way, your own personal power and how you powerfully present yourself and approach the world. So there's some support from you acting powerfully that could help with this letting go that you need to do. And then also you've got Uranus for the next 7 years is shaking up your fifth house in Gemini. And your fifth house is about your romantic relationships, your children. There could be some shocks and surprises with your children, getting pregnant when you didn't expect it, any of that. Also entrepreneurial projects that you do because you love doing them, and play and fun. All right, so there could be from any of those areas some support for whatever it is you need to let go of in your eighth house, whether that is some counseling or some psychological layers that are sort of affecting you in some kind of way, or something to do with the money that I was talking about. All the best for that, Aquarius. If you are Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising, and if you are Pisces Rising, that means that Pisces was the part of the sky that was coming up on the eastern horizon at the moment that you were born, and that is like me. I'm one of you guys. Okay, so that new moon in the sign of Virgo, that is a solar eclipse, is in our seventh house. So that is the seventh house of partnership, and it's like there's some kind of new start with partnership with our partner themselves, if you have a partner, or somebody that you work with or spend time with on a one-to-one basis, whether that is a client or a colleague or a friend that you do things with and you're talking together one-to-one. Anyone that or your actual partner or a friend that you spend a lot of time with. It could be some big change or new start for them, or it could be some new start in your relationship. But it's also to do with letting go, because Pisces, we've got the South Node going through our house of partnership. Right now, it started towards the beginning of this year, not long into this year, and we've got about another 9 or 10 months of it. The South Node is making us have some letting go to do with partnership, and it might be that we have partnerships that end. I've already had one person that I was working with that's finished, not able to continue, and another relationship, the nature of which has really changed. Or so it could be partnerships that end, or the ways that we approach and do partnership. And it's all about the opposite side of the chart. The North Node is in our house of ourself, and that is about we need to be focusing on ourselves, and that's building up. That is what we are being brought to do through the North Node being there in our own house and the eclipses between Pisces and Virgo. All right, so with this new moon solar eclipse, there's something new to do with partnership, but it's ultimately about letting go of something. All right, and we've also got, we're encouraged to be less organized and precise and prepared with that letting go. All right, and encouraged to go back to the Pisces side, which is us, because we are good at the flow. We're good at intuition. We're good at the big picture macro thinking, and we're encouraged with the South Node and that solar eclipse there to let go of micromanagement in our partnerships. okay? But at the same time as being encouraged with this eclipse to be more flowing and intuitive and big picture thinking, we also need to remember to be real, because Saturn is back in our sign, and we need to remember with that, and the eclipse will be triggering it, to be grounded, realistic and practical. So that's the question: how do we bring flow and imagination and intuition together with groundedness and practicality and realism? We've got also Neptune is still in Aries. It will be coming back into Pisces soon, and that is also opposite the new moon. And we have got the great grand new start represented by the Saturn Neptune conjunction. That is in February of next year, and that is in our second house of earnings and possessions and our sense of self-worth. I'm looking forward to that, because I need some new ideas about how to make money, because in theory I should be retiring in 10 years time or so. I don't know how that's going to happen yet. All right, so the new moon might be helping us let go of something to do with partnership that helps us in the ultimately with that big new start. We're also being helped by Pluto going through our 12th house. That is supporting this new moon. So that is something to do with power and technology even, but it's in our 12th house of dreams and retreat from the world, or even foreign travel. So there could be some kind of support from those areas with this new moon. And also Uranus, which is shaking up our 4th house of home and family of origin, and who we live with and where we live for the next 7 years. But there could be something from that area of life that helps with that new moon in the sign of partnership that is also to do with letting go. So all the best, Pisces. If you are Aries, sun, moon or rising, but especially Aries rising, and your rising sign is the sign that was coming up on the horizon at the moment of your birth. So that is pretty nice to think of. Anyway, if you are Aries, sorry, just shifting a little bit. Okay. The new moon, that's a solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo, is happening in your 6th house. It's the second new moon in your 6th house, but this one comes with a solar eclipse. And so that means it could be a sudden turnaround or something surprising, but it's also to do with letting go. Your 6th house is the area of life to do with your daily work, your daily routines for health, for exercise, for what you eat, how you keep clean and organized in your home life, and keeping your body clean and healthy. Okay, it's also about how you give service in the world, whether that's through your daily work, your paid work, or other ways that you give service in practical ways. All right, so the new moon, the solar eclipse, is bringing some kind of new start in that area of your life, but it's also to do with letting go, because the South Node is there. And the South Node will be going through that 6th house. It started early this year, 2025, and it's going till later on in 2026, 18 months altogether. And so there's some things to let go of, Aries, in that 6th house. And it could be that over that year and a half, you need to let go of some ways that you organize your routines in your home, the jobs to do, the ways you do the dishes. Maybe your dishwasher breaks down or something, and you end up hand washing, and you decide, okay, that's better. Or it might be a change in your work. There was one time I had an eclipse in my 6th house, and I had a table, a desk in an office with some friends and colleagues who were friends, and I really loved it. I'm just going to pause because of a helicopter. And the organisation I was working with said I needed to move to another office because my job had changed and I wasn't really doing the same job as the ones I was in the office with. That's an example of some kind of letting go that you need to do. But yeah, overall, it's more part of a bigger pattern. There'll be some, over the 18 months, there's some longer term and bigger change to make that involves letting go in your 6th house, how you give service in the world, and it might feel uncomfortable at the time, and it might feel sad as well to let go of it, but ultimately it is for your highest good. At the moment, the eclipses are bringing you to focus more on your 12th house, and this new moon solar eclipse will be doing that. We are being encouraged to be more flowing and intuitive with the eclipse, and your 12th house is about how you retreat from the world. It's foreign travel. It's about where you seek sanctuary. It's where you connect with spirituality, and you are being encouraged to flow with that and be intuitive. But at the same time, Saturn is there right opposite the new moon, and we're being encouraged, where we're being flowing and intuitive, to also be grounded, realistic and practical. So how you bring those things together is a challenge, but that is the challenge we have. At the same time, Aries, Neptune is also across from that new moon solar eclipse, and Neptune is in Aries, your sign, and you've got the Saturn-Neptune conjunction building up this year and coming exact in February 2026 for this great, grand, amazing new start in your sign that will be effective for the next 36 years. So a brand new start for everything in your life. And so this solar eclipse will be perhaps setting something into motion where it's some kind of new start with letting go that helps you with that. Ultimately, you might be able to look back in February and see how that worked. You're also being supported by Pluto in Aquarius, and Aquarius is your 11th house of long-term goals, the rewards that you get from your career, and friendship groups. And so from any of those areas, there might be support for this new moon, or also from Uranus, which is in Gemini, and that is your house of neighborhoods, community connections, travel around your neighborhood, your commute to work, just how you go around on your bike or your car or walking, neighbors and friends in the neighborhood. Also, teaching and learning, like schools, primary schools, or adult courses that you do in the community, and also your relations, aunties, uncles, cousins, brothers and sisters. Yeah, so there could be support for the new moon from there as well, but mostly it's about some kind of new start in your 6th house of how you give service, your daily work, your routines for health and organization. That's a little bit to do with letting go. All the best, Aries. If you are Taurus, sun, moon or rising, but especially Taurus rising, and your rising sign is the part of the sky, the Taurus, that was coming up over the horizon at the moment that you were born. So that's pretty lovely to think of, and you are Taurus, all right? This eclipse, the solar eclipse, that's a new moon eclipse in the sign of Virgo, is happening in your 5th house. The 5th house is this house of your children. It's a house of, it can be the house of pregnancy and childbirth. It's a house of romance, romantic relationships and dating. And it's a house of fun and playfulness and being like a child, having fun and creating things from that sense of fun. And it can be, with that, also creative entrepreneurial projects. So there is, with your 5th house, a new start with the new moon, but it also could be to do with letting go. You've got the South Node going through this house, and it's been going through the house since early this year, and it's going to be going through the house for another 9 or 10 months, roughly. And over that time, there's something to let go of in this house. It could be that a child is growing up and pulling away from you. It could be some kind of creative project or hobby that you love, and you love doing it every Wednesday. You go and play bowls with your mates and you have heaps of fun, bantering and laughing together. And it could be that that comes to an end for some reason. But with the new moon, there is a new start with it, but it's part of an overall longer term process of letting go in your 5th house. All right. After 9 years, you're going to get the North Node in your 5th house, and there's going to be lots of new beginnings. It's all for the best. In your 5th house, you are Virgo in your 5th house. because Virgo rules your 5th house. So you are quite careful and meticulous and organized about things with your children, and maybe you like to, and your hobbies. Maybe you micromanage a little bit, or your dating. But with the new moon, we are being encouraged to be more intuitive and flowing. And to go to the opposite sign from Virgo. So from Virgo, we go across to Pisces, which is more flowing, more imaginative, more big picture thinking, less micromanaging. All right. But while we do that, then you also need to be a little bit also organized and structured, practical and real, because Saturn is there. So Pisces is your 11th house, all right? So there could be some kind of thing where you're being encouraged in your 11th house of which is about your long-term goals, the rewards from your career, and money, including money from your career, and also friendship groups. All right, so you're being encouraged to let go of something in your 5th house and go to that 11th house. Be more flowing, be more intuitive, but also practical and grounded. Also, Neptune is also opposite that new moon. All right, and you've got Neptune and Saturn are going to have their conjunction in your 12th house in February next year. All right, in Aries. Okay, and so something about this new moon could help with that conjunction. Your 12th house is about how you retreat from the world, your spirituality, your sanctuary from the world. It can even be escapism, even just going and watching movies and having a break from the world. And it can be foreign travel. So there could be some there will be some great grand new start from beginning in February next year. But this new moon, where there's something to let go of in your 5th house of children and play and romance and hobbies, that is contributing to that new start. Also, there is support from Pluto coming from your 10th house of career. Okay, so Pluto's for the next 20 years is in your 10th house of career. I'm just going to check that. Make sure I get that right. Yeah, your 10th house of career. Yeah, so Pluto's there for 20 years, making you look at power matters in your career. But this is a supportive relationship, so something from your career might help you with this new moon in the 5th house. And then also Uranus is in your 2nd house, Gemini, and Uranus is going to come back into your house. You've had 7 years of Uranus in your house, shaking up your whole identity. At the moment, it's in your 2nd house of Gemini, shaking up things with your possessions, your finances, and your earnings. And that could also help with the new moon in your 5th house. All right, so something new, but something to let go of. All the best, Taurus. If you are Gemini, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Gemini rising, and your rising sign is the sign that was coming up over the horizon at the moment that you were born. Gemini, this new moon with a solar eclipse is happening in your 4th house. And the 4th house is about your home and your family of origin, your ancestry even, and even properties, the place you live, the people you live with. And there's some kind of new start there that could bring some kind of fated beginning, but it's also to do with endings, because you have the south node eclipse point going through your 4th house of home and family, and it's been there for about the last 9 months or so, and it's got 9 or 10 months to go, 18 months altogether. And that is making you let go of something to do with your home and family. All right, something to do with your ancestry. Maybe you find out stuff about your family that changes your view of your family. Maybe over that 18 months, you gradually realize you've been over-identified with your family, and you need to move to the other side of the chart, which is your career, and focus on that more, and think of yourself a bit more in a way, and what you want and your goals in life. All right, so the new moon eclipse in the sign of Virgo is encouraging us to go to the opposite side, to Pisces, which is your career house. So, and you're being encouraged to be flowing and intuitive in your career, all right, and flowing and intuitive, even imaginative. And at the same time though, Saturn is opposite that new moon solar eclipse, and Saturn could make it difficult. And while we have to be flowing and intuitive, we also somehow in your career house have to be realistic and practical and grounded. All right, so however you bring those together, that can be a challenge for anyone to bring those two, intuition with groundedness, together. Yeah, but it can be done. All right, we're being asked to do it. You've got Neptune also opposite that new moon solar eclipse in your 4th house, and Neptune and Saturn are going to be conjunct in your 5th house, sorry, no, in your 11th house, all right, in February of 2026, so February next year. And we're building up for that conjunction now, and that's going to be some big, grand, amazing new start for you for the next 36-year period in your 11th house. And the 11th house is about long-term goals, your long-term goals in life. It's also about the rewards that you get from your career, whether they're financial or the perks that you get for that work that you do in your career, and also about your friendship group. So, and even causes that you support through your friendship groups or communities that you're connected with. So there's some big new start there starting in February. That's a very, very big and slow gradual new start, but something about this new moon in your 4th house, Gemini, is going to be helping with that new start. So there might be something to let go of, but it's also a new start in that 4th house. It's also supported by Pluto being in your 9th house, and Pluto's in your 9th house of foreign travel and higher learning and exploration and adventure and lucky optimism. And so there could be some support for Pluto with the new moon from those areas of life. And also you've got Uranus in your sign. That's going to be shaking you up for the next 7 years. It's going to go back into Taurus shortly for a little while, but then it's going to be changing and disrupting your whole identity for the next 7 years. But at the time of the new moon, it's actually going to help out a little bit, right? Because it is trine to the new moon, though it's an out of sign trine. All right, so something from you and your willingness to be a bit free and a bit out of the box with your thinking and a bit innovative could help that new moon, whatever that new start is for your home and family, that's ultimately connected to some letting go. All the best, Gemini. If you are Cancer, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Cancer Rising, and if you're Cancer Rising, that means Cancer was the sign that was coming up on the eastern horizon at the moment that you were born. That's pretty neat. Cancer, this new moon in the sign of Virgo is happening in your 3rd house, and it's a new moon solar eclipse, so it could bring sudden changes that represent some kind of new start in your area of life to do with your neighborhoods, your community, how you move about your community with your local transport, whether that's walking, biking, driving, your neighbors, learning and teaching within your community. Also your relations, your aunties, uncles, cousins, and siblings. And also that can be to do with trade and exchange, small business, and networking, social networking, even social media. All right, so that is a new start that could bring unexpected changes of event because of changes of plan because of the eclipse. But it's also to do with letting go. And that is because the South Node at the eclipse point is, the South Node is about letting go. And you've got 18 months of the South Node going through that 3rd house of your neighborhoods and community and all that. That started earlier this year and it's going on till late next year. 18 months altogether of the South Node. So over that period, there's going to be a slow relinquishing of some things to do with your neighborhood. Maybe you move, maybe a friendship with a neighbor ends, maybe you finish some kind of teaching job in the neighborhood, or maybe you finish a course, or you decide not to, maybe you stop biking and start walking, whatever it is, some kind of letting go that can feel kind of sad, but it's the best thing. It's the best thing for you in your future, because you are being encouraged to move away right now with that south node going through that area of life. You're being encouraged to move to the opposite side of the chart, which is your ninth house. All right, so Pisces is your ninth house, and your ninth house is the house of, it's seen as a lucky house. It's a house of foreign travel, exploration, higher learning, and belief systems. How you systemize your beliefs, your philosophies of life. All right, so that could be around religion or spiritual practice as well. It's a house of expansion and optimism. It's a fun house. It feels big and expansive, like you can do anything. And yeah, it's really cool. You got the north node going through there. That's encouraging you towards that house. And with this eclipse, you're being encouraged to let go of something in your neighborhood and maybe move to more of those bigger picture kind of areas, and to be Piscean about it, to be flowing, to be intuitive, to be thinking of the big picture stuff and not the micromanagement side of things. All right, but at the same time, Saturn is exactly opposite the eclipse, and it's in that ninth house of your foreign travel and all that, and philosophy of life. That is encouraging you, as well as and could it cause some difficulty that makes you have to be not only flowing and intuitive, but also grounded and realistic and practical. So how you bring those together, I don't know. That is a challenge for all of us, bringing the groundedness with the flow and the imagination and the visualization. All right. Also, you have got coming up, well, Neptune is opposite the eclipse as well. And so it's triggering something that's part of this build up to the Neptune-Saturn conjunction that's happening in February next year. That's an amazing, grand, 36 long new start for your career house. All right, so something about this eclipse where you're letting go of things to do with your neighborhood and all that could be helping you with that upcoming new beginning in your career. All right, so you've also got some support from Pluto because it's trine to the new moon. That's coming from your, let me just check that. Pluto is in your Pluto's in your 8th house, yeah. So you could get support from investments or other people's money, your partner's money. And also you've got in your 12th house, you've got Uranus. And your 12th house is your house of, that can also be foreign travel. It's your sanctuary, it's your retreat from the world, it's spirituality. And Uranus is in there shaking up Gemini, and that's those areas. And so there could be some support from there, some kind of place of retreat that helps you out with this new moon. But mostly it's about letting go. Well, no, it's about a new beginning in your 3rd house, but it has to do with letting something go over a longer term period while the south node goes through there. All the best for that, Cancer. And finally, if you are Leo, sun, moon, or rising, well, this eclipse, the solar eclipse, the new moon is happening in your 2nd house. Virgo is your 2nd house, and that is about your values in life. What do you value? But especially talking about the physical, material things of life. So it's about your earnings. It's about the earnings that you create in the world and make, your money that belongs to you, and also to do with how you look after yourself, how you value yourself, and how you show that with your possessions and your adornments even. All right, so the 2nd house is a lot about self-worth as well. And you've got the south node going through that house, and it has been since early this year, and it is until later next year, 18 months in total. There's some stuff to let go of in that 2nd house. Maybe you have to let go of a way of earning money. Maybe you have to let go of some possessions and attachment to possessions. Maybe you have to let go of some some ways that you were valuing yourself. Maybe you were over identified to certain ways of seeing yourself, and you have to let go of those. And this solar eclipse at 20, I've just moved that so you can just see the nice greenery. This solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo is encouraging you to let go of something. It's a trigger point along there, and it could be a new beginning, because a new moon is always a new beginning, but it's part of this overall pattern of letting go. And at the same time, you are being encouraged to go more towards the opposite side of the chart, which is your 8th house, and that is Pisces is your 8th house, and the 8th house is about other people's money in your life. So it could be about your partner's money, or foreign investments, or tax money. It can also be a house of deep power and deep psychological layers, and you might be encouraged to explore these more. It's also a house of occult practices, deep power and deep intimacy, and how that shows up in your life. So deep intimacy with your partner, perhaps. You're being encouraged with this eclipse to be, and all together with the North Node being there for 1.5 years, to be more flowing and intuitive and imaginative and big picture thinking, and less micromanaging. All right? So maybe you're micromanaging your finances, like doing a budget where you're counting every dollar or every $10. Maybe it's time to move away from that and look at some big picture stuff. Like, how can you get some more money in your life that's from other people? Maybe there's a way to access that. At the same time, Saturn is opposite the new moon, and that could make it difficult, because an opposition is difficult and Saturn tends to be challenging. You're being encouraged to be more flowing and intuitive and big picture thinking, but at the same time, more grounded and practical and real. How you bring that together, I don't know. That's a challenge for all of us, as to how we combine that realistic, practical Saturn energy with Pisces rather impractical and flowing, intuitive, imaginative self. But that's something to think about. Also, we've got Neptune opposite this new moon, and the solar eclipse. So there could be something with that too, where that new moon is triggering something with Neptune, because we're building towards the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which is happening in your 9th house in February of 2026, so February next year. And that is a great, big, epic new start that will slowly unfold and develop over the next 36 years. Your 9th house is about foreign travel. It's about higher learning, like university courses, about philosophy of life and beliefs, and belief systems and structures, even how you practice spirituality. And so there's some big new start coming there with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. So something about this new moon and a new start in your 2nd house with your money and your earnings and possessions, and maybe some letting go there, that's going to help out with that Saturn-Neptune conjunction in your house of foreign travel, exploration, higher learning, philosophy of life and belief systems. Okay. Also helping the new moon is Pluto is trine to the new moon, and that is coming from your house of partnership, Leo. You've got 20 years of Pluto going through your house of partnership. So yeah, there's some deep power and maybe obsession even, and deep transformation happening with partnership. But that's going to slowly happen over 20 years. At the moment, it's helping the new moon because it's in a trine aspect. All right, and then you've got also Uranus helping the new moon. That is coming from your 11th house of long-term goals, rewards from your work or career, and friendship groups, and even friendship groups that are connected to some kind of cause or some kind of belief, or a common cause where you're setting out to achieve something for the world, a community development thing or something. And so from that area of life, there also could be help for this new moon in your second house, which is about your earnings, about your possessions, about the value that you place on your earnings and possessions, and how you look after your body. Something new there, but overall some letting go to do. All the best for that, Leo. There we go, everyone. That is my video all about, wow, that new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. It's a very long video because I went right into talking about that south node going through the sign of Virgo and needing to let go of some stuff there. Anyway, life is always about new things and letting go. And yeah, so anyway, I'm just going to show you again where we are. Beautiful Dolomites. So wonderful. As I said last time, we're coming to the end of the trip. This morning we made a plan for the last couple of weeks, how we get ourselves back to England, how we sell the van, some people we want to see. I want to go and see my uncle in Scotland, and we're going to see some of my partner's relations, sorry, and then fly home. Yay. Looking forward to it. Bye for now, everyone. All the best for the new moon solar eclipse, and then spring equinox in the southern hemisphere and autumn equinox in the northern hemisphere.